Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continue today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn, happy to be back together again. And guys, today we are bringing back Sensible Ken Russo. I love when Sensible Ken is here because we're going to say, don't believe all the fake news that's out there, right? There's a lot of fake numbers.
Yeah.
Fake reporting, and that's what we're going to cover today.
Fake numbers, skewed numbers. You know, if you have questions, we have answers. That's what it said at the opening there, yeah. And Sensible Ken is here, so we're going to be very realistic and calm.
Yes.
We're not going to try to talk about a zillion numbers. We're just going to try and use common sense. We're going to try to be very sensible about the situation that we find ourselves in.
Because it's a scary time, and so sensibility does win the day, that's for sure. But the reason it's a scary time, well, a number of reasons, a number of perfect storms, if you will, Ken Russo. But it all started when Richard Nixon was president in 1971. He thought he would try an experiment. Instead of letting gold back the dollar, he said, you know what? It'll be great. You know what? Forget the gold backing the dollar. Everybody go wild. And guess what? Everybody did go wild, right?
Yeah, and real quick, just as a recap, in 1933, FDR took us off the gold standard, and he made it illegal for United States citizens to own gold. At $20 an ounce, he asked everybody, told everybody, if you don't turn in your gold, we'll arrest you and we'll fine you $10,000. And that was a lot of money at that particular time. So that was the first devaluation of the dollar, and in my opinion, the first time the United States defaulted, okay? So then we have the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, where it then states and pegs the price of gold at $30 per ounce, $35 per ounce, somewhere in that area. And then foreigners can convert their U.S. dollars to gold. Foreigners.
Okay. Not Americans.
Yes,
foreigners.
Not Americans,
No.
foreigners. So in the late 60s, some of these countries started saying, well, you want to know what? We don't want these paper dollars anymore. We like the gold better.
Yeah.
So the stockpiles of the United States started to run out as a lot of these other countries, especially France, demanded gold instead of the dollars. And then Richard Nixon said, whoa, wait a minute. I am not a crook, and we're running out of gold, and we're going to have to do something here, guys, lickety-split. So what did they do? They then took the ability to convert dollars into gold away from the foreigners. They started the entire fiat currency system, which is what we're on now, meaning that all of our money is backed by nothing except debt. All of these countries now are piling up trillions of dollars of debt. There is no gold that backs our dollar. These currencies are allowed to trade in value against one another, and they just float in value and go back and forth, and it's just a big casino. And gold is allowed to trade, well, somewhat allowed to trade freely, and now is around almost $2,000 per ounce. And back in 1971, it was at $35 per ounce. So that's the difference between our paper monetary system that we're on today, central bank system, versus having something real like gold.
Yeah, dollar's worth less, gold is worth more. Imagine that. Follow it through. And, you know, many of us who have our money and our financial future socked away in the bank think that it's safe, Ken, because the FDIC is there backing it up. But before we jump into the meat of the show today, pretty big headline that came out this week about the FDIC.
Yeah, and for people out there, here's Ken talking again. Here's Mr. Doom and Gloom guy, right? Yeah.
You're just sensible, Ken.
The stuff we've been talking about was actually pretty right on. The FDIC came out today. They have something that's called the Deposit Insurance Fund. This is the fund that backs all of our deposits at the bank, you know, the place that's supposed to be keeping our money safe. The Deposit Insurance Fund has $117 billion in it to protect all of the deposits at 4,622 banks. And that number again, Jen, was $117 billion in the deposit insurance fund.
Now, that's a lot of money for a person, but that's not even nearly enough money to back all of the money that these banks have. Give us the number compared to what's in one bank
I
right
told
now.
you 2 weeks ago that between J.P. Morgan Chase and Citibank, there's close to $2 trillion
Bingo.
of uninsured deposits in those two institutions.
And just two.
There's 4,622 banks. So for people that think that the banking system is safe, for people that think that their money is going to be available for them when they show up and try to take it out,
No matter what
is it going to take for people to understand that it's not there? Is it going to take for banks to go down and for them to take people's money? Is that what it's going to take, Jen?
I think that's what it's going to take. And guess what? When that happens, people will start to
It's going to be pandemonium when that happens. And it's inevitable that it will happen because the amount of insurance available is not there. And because of the Dodd-Frank Act in 2009, the government is not supposed to be doing government bailouts.
Right.
They're supposed to be doing bail-ins. This is going to be a serious problem. So the first thing we'd like to talk about today, like we just did, the banks remain very risky. We actually saw another one fail last week, Citizens Bank, and there'll be more to come.
Yeah, we know they're already on shaky ground. So let's go through some of, the topics, things that you should consider if you are sensibly thinking about how to put your money.
You want to know what, Jen?
Yeah.
How risky the banks really are?
Tell me.
They have these two programs that's called the reverse repo, and it's called a bank loan funding program.
Okay.
The Fed prints money. The government gives the banks this money to keep them afloat. Literally, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. To this day, presently, that's the only thing that's keeping a lot of these banks afloat. Without that more fake money, we could wake up tomorrow and your bank could be done.
So you're telling me fake money is backing up
Fake
our
money,
real
more
money
fake
in
money
the bank.
is backing up our fake money that's
man.
at the bank. But my contention is you can take some of that fake money and you can convert it into some real money like gold and silver, and you can still do that. And my point is you better hurry up before you can't.
Yeah, do it while you can and do it today. You can call the folks over at Midas Gold Group. They are fabulous people. We've got, everybody that works there. This is not a call center. You're calling and talking to real human beings that are going to help you through your individual situation. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, or you can text if you are more of the texting type.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You can text GOLD to 232425. Just text the word GOLD to 232425. Midas Gold Group gets right back to you. You want to do your transactions in person? I don't blame you. If you're in Thousand Oaks, California, or near that location, you can go into Midas Gold Group there in California, or, of course, always in Phoenix, Arizona. 855-322-4653 or MidasGoldGroup.com. We talked about the banks, sensible Ken.
Yes.
What about the economy being kind of artificially held up until it's not? We've talked about the fake money in the fake banks.
Yep.
What about the debt? What about the dollar? What else can we expect? This future,
Well,
this forecast does not look great.
I would say, sensible Ken would say, well, the Biden administration has made the economy worse than when he took over. I would say the numbers that they come out with are definitely fake and skewed to make them seem a certain way, like inflation numbers and all that. There's no one in the world that can tell me that inflation is 2 or 3% when the cost of my food is up 50% over the last couple of years.
We can all feel it in everything that we buy.
And it's never going back down to the prices that it was in 2018, 2019. So for them to say that inflation is transitory, it's never been transitory.
Right.
This system has been built to create inflation and then for the system to be torn down. So the economy, in my opinion, is starting to feel the higher interest rates. It will eventually take hold pretty drastically. Then the government may just revise all the numbers and see, we already told you, see, we were already in a recession. We revised all the numbers. So the point being is, don't be fooled. The economy is not strong, Bidenomics is a farce. It's not going to stop spending. Actually, the government just passed the new spending law today. For the House passed it,
and it's Democrats and Republicans alike. We're singling out Biden because
we're in the abyss, and we're going to talk about the deficit in a minute. But all of these reasons, the banks, the economy, should cause people to be on high alert. It should cause them to want to be defensive. It should cause them to look for safety. And what we're talking about is protecting your savings, protecting your IRAs, protecting your old 401k that you may have.
Right.
It doesn't all have to be tied to such a sick system. You can convert it, protect it into something that has stood the test of time, Jen, like gold, like this gold bar right here.
I know. I was going to ask you to show us that because that's a great one.
This is a 10-ounce gold bar. So basically, if you own 5 of these, you can convert $100,000 into these.
Unbelievable.
If you had 50, you can convert and protect $1 million. And it's my contention that the price of gold will suddenly be higher in the not-too-distant future and over the next few years when it reflects all of this money printing and all of this debt and this bad situation we're in. It's going to be possibly in the tens of $1,000s per ounce.
Well, and I want I want people listening to realize, because I've had people come to me and say, well, I don't really know how to hold gold at home. You need a safe. You need a safe place to put it. We always laugh. You can bury it in the backyard if you want to. Just don't forget where you put it. But that's not a lot of space. That's a 10-ounce piece. You have 5 of those. It's $100,000.
Right.
And that's not a huge amount of space. That'll fit in any apartment.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
and we do have relationships with people that have non-banking depositories. If you want to own a lockbox and take insurance out on the lockbox, there's ways to do it. You don't have to be locked up in a system where you have no recourse. And when the banks go down, when the markets go down, when the government folds up, you're not going to have any recourse.
Yeah.
The only recourse you're going to have, Jen, is what you have outside of the system, like this gold or like silver.
Absolutely. So now is the time. Do not wait. It is the sensible thing to do. Don't believe all of the numbers, all the lies that the government unfortunately likes to peddle to try to keep themselves safe. It's up to you. Personal responsibility. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe, your investments and your earnings safe by calling Midas Gold Group today. 855-322-4653. That easy. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. Or you can always check out MidasGoldGroup.com. You can text GOLD to 232425, and there's a lot more up ahead. Don't move a muscle. It's the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Thanks for joining us and welcome back. It is a Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn back together again. We thank you for joining us. 855-322-GOLD is how you can reach Midas Gold Group. 855-322-4653. Do not wait another minute. Get on the phone, 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com, and you can text GOLD to 232425. Midas will get back to you. Now, Ken, we've got to talk.
Sensible Ken,
about the D word. The D word is debt. Now, we've got a lot of it. We're going to get into it, but Earlier this
I thought
year,
you were going to say the other D
I knew you.
Dollar. Oh.
Darn.
Oh.
Earlier this year, Moody's cut its outlook for the entire U.S. banking sector to negative, put 6 banks on the downgrade watch list. The credit rating services moved to downgrade the entire banking sector from stable to negative. That has big impact.
And look at what happened Friday. Moody's lowered its ratings outlook on the U.S. government, citing high interest rates, government spending, and deficits. So they downgraded the debt of the United States of America.
This is a problem. This is a big problem. What does it mean for us? So when we hear that, somebody's listening, driving around in their car this weekend, what does that mean for them?
Well, it means that our debt is riskier than what originally thought it was, possibly years ago. It means that the cost to service this debt is going to go up dramatically.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a celebration in order.
Really?
For the first time, the cost to service the United States debt is now over $1 trillion.
Is that why you brought your champagne
year.
in today?
Yay, whoopee!
Popping
Yay.
bottles in
Good
here.
Good job, corrupt politicians
$1
and
trillion.
greedy bankers. Yeah, now listen to the best part of this.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of years, we're going to have like $20 to $25 trillion that's going to have to be refinanced. Now, interest rates are going to be substantially higher than where they were just a few years ago. So what's our deficit going to be at that time? 2 trillion, 3 trillion?
So do you laugh, Sensible Ken, when you see politicians come up in front of a microphone, in front of a podium, most likely, and they say, you know what, we're going to balance our budget. We're going to do... There's no coming back. There's just no coming back.
It's a false, another lie, fake statement to just garnish votes, to get power. But when you look at the whole picture, we are so far into the debt abyss.
It really feels that, like a black hole.
The hole is so big. There's going to be no way out of this until it folds up. Now, my contention is that the banks and the markets and the television and the media is going to try to do whatever they can to keep us involved in this system, to keep us involved in the banking system or in the stock or the bond market. Now, they want to convert it to a digital system, roll all of those assets into a digital CBDC, and then that CBDC is going to be torn down and possibly implode. And then everybody's stuck.
So you think that the digital currency comes next because they want a place to really hide all of their mistakes so then they can implode it and then start over from scratch.
And they also want control, and they need control,
That's for sure.
And when people are more desperate, they're easier to control. So besides control, monitoring, and, just being in a position of, they're in a very bad position. They're desperate.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do? So less freedom when it comes to our money, less privacy when it comes to our money. That means a digital system. Other parts of the world are already doing this. No one's going to want to be a part of that. We all know that the government never does anything right, and they always spend too much for it. That
doesn't sound like our government at all. What are you talking about?
That system is not going to survive.
No.
But the problem is that if you have all of your money stuck in that kind of a system and you can't get to it, or it's frozen, or it just disappears, who cares how much money you have if you can't get to any of it?
It's all air if you can't get to it.
So, the point is how can you distance yourself, Jen, from, in my opinion, an inevitable outcome?
Yeah.
How could you remain financially intact without being ruined financially when the system implodes? And it could happen at any time. It could happen immediately, or it can take a few years. Who knows?
And we don't know.
No. But the point is now, at gold still at $2,000 an ounce, it's ridiculously cheap. Silver at half of the price it was back in the 80s is an absolute travesty. How could silver be half of the price that it was back in the 80s?
How is that?
Well, it's manipulated. I mean, it's suppressed. The supply of silver in the last 23 years is basically pretty steady, but the demand is going up exponentially due to the demand from solar panels, electronic devices, cars. And you want to know what's going to happen too, is over the next few weeks, there's going to be a big announcement about climate change. And there's a COP28 conference of the United Nations. And they're going to come out and they're going to say, COP. They're going to come out and say that they think they should ramp up by triple at least triple the amount of things that they're talking about when it comes to solar, megawatts, and electronic cars. They want triple. My question, too, is where are they going to get all the silver to satisfy triple that they can't even satisfy now? Wow. Where is it going to come from?
Where is it? They're going to are they going to try to get it back from people?
I don't know. I mean, if they think people are going to turn in their silver, they're desperately mistaken. Now, maybe it's going to be $2,000 or $3,000 silver. Who knows? Maybe the price will eventually be allowed to trade based on its own supply and demand. Same thing with gold. Mm-hmm. A gentleman said the other day, all gold used to back up all of the fiat money.
Yeah.
We used to be on an entire gold system. When gold was $20 an ounce, and the person said to him, well, isn't the gold market too small to back all the paper and all the cash and all the fiat money that's in the markets today? And he said, yeah, at $2,000 an ounce, but maybe at $50,000 or $100,000 an ounce, it's not.
It'll do just fine.
Voila.
Yeah.
Even the government, which supposedly has 8,000 tons of gold, which nobody's seen since the 60s, at $2,000 an ounce. But
do you think it's under Joe Biden's mattress? Where do you think?
It could be. Maybe it's in the garage, right?
Right. Next to the Ferrari and the classified
But
documents.
if they want to just create trillions of dollars out of thin air, all they have to do is revalue their gold and voila.
Back to business.
The bottom line is you don't have to take all this risk on by keeping your money in a system that's unreliable. It's a casino.
Yeah.
And what did you say before, Mike, about the casino?
The casino, by law, has to have enough money in the cage to back every chip in play on the casino floor.
There you go.
Imagine that. Even the casinos have it, right?
Yeah. We know the banks don't have that policy.
Wow.
We know that the markets, they allow the banks to trade all these derivatives. They don't have that policy.
Right.
But you could have that policy.
And that's what we ask you to do. It's almost like creating your own bank at home, something you can trust, something you have control over, something you can access when you need it. That's why it's time. Don't wait around. You don't want to be caught when inevitably these problems start to get worse.
You sound very sensible.
322-4653. Why, thank you. I'm Sensible Jen. Nice to meet you, Sensible Ken. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. That's how it spells out. 855-322-4653. MidasGoldGroup.com. You can use your texting if you'd like to. Just text GOLD to 232425. That's GOLD to 232425. Midas gets right back to you. And in our few minutes left, Ken, it seems that there are lots of things that we can be certain of, but there is also a lot more uncertainty when it comes to elections. We're going into an election year, a lot more promises, a lot more skewing of numbers. That's going to be made in the next couple of months. And so the choices are, do you believe what they're selling, or do you look around at the evidence, the stuff that you have to really poke around to find? The fact that the FDIC doesn't have all the money that we think it needs. The fact that digital currency is going to allow more government oversight into your life. These are things they are not going to tell you, but that are absolutely happening behind the scenes.
And they're also not going to tell you that your dollar is losing tremendous value.
No.
It took another big dump over the last couple of days here. It's definitely, to me, it looks like it's topped and it's starting to turn down. Who knows? We don't give financial advice, but if you continue to believe the lies that our dollar is strong, well, then I guess you just deserve to lose all of your purchasing power. I guess, is that what it's going to take? Well, for some people that we talk to, that's not acceptable. They need to do something about protecting their buying power, protecting themselves. They don't want to comply with all of these lies. They don't believe it. All the lies we're going to hear next year, it's all nonsense. But you don't have to be made broke as all of this falls apart. And we all know that eventually it's going to fall apart.
And take that privacy back. This is a transaction that is out of the purview of government oversight. Gold is still private. It's one of the few things that really is. You can keep it at home, gold and silver, in your home safe. Hedge your bets. Take a portion.
If you're going to place your bets, at least be smart about it. Hedge your bets.
Hedge your bets. That's what Sensible Ken says, right?
It's very sensible. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. I think you have been nothing but sensible today, Ken. And here's what you need to do. You can talk to Sensible Ken and all of the sensible people over at Midas Gold Group. Do it today. We beg you, don't wait around. You don't want to be caught really in trouble. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-4653. You can text message as well. Text message GOLD to 232425. That's the word GOLD to 232425. You can always go to MidasGoldGroup.com. Come and see him, Thousand Oaks, and in Phoenix, Arizona. And thanks for joining us. It's the Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.